All right, let's get started here with the NBS meeting. Tom, you appear to be muted right now, so you can unmute and jump in whenever you like.
Okay.
We have a few things on the agenda today. We'll do some introductions. Then we're going to have Leanna Spurrier joining us for a presentation on bringing a manuscript to publication. And we'll have some awards as well to give out, and I believe a treasurer's report. So Tom, you want to take it from here?
Sure. Thank you, Lan. And welcome everyone, and thank you for joining the first virtual general meeting of the Numismatic Bibliomania Society. My name's Tom Harrison, and I'm honored to be the president of the NBS. And I want to thank the Eric P. Newman Numismatic Educational Society and Len for providing our Zoom meeting today. I hope everybody will be able to join several of our NBS members who are giving presentations during the Newman Numismatic Portal Symposium.
Oh, Tom, sorry to interrupt, but if you have video, you might want to turn that on too.
Oh, good. I'm not sure where I'm going to find that, but
should be at the lower left.
Yeah, I've got all I've got's a mute button there.
Possibly start video, stop video.
Yeah, I don't have anything down there.
While Tom's looking for that, I might mention that we have 42 participants, which if we had a live NBS meeting, we would probably not have that many. So having an online experience definitely opens it up for a lot of other people to attend who might not be able to because of travel or other restrictions. All right, Tom, if you want to keep going.
Yeah, why don't I just keep going here? I did want to give a shout out to both Lan and Joel Oros for receiving the Distinguished Numismatic Literary Guild's Clemmy Award. This award is very prestigious and is presented in recognition of their writing skills, dedication to numismatics, their sense of humor, and a dedication to the Numismatic Literary Guild. So congratulations to both of you on this well-deserved award. Also, I want to mention our most recent NBS podcast featuring Dan Hamelberg that relates some of his fascinating stories from his incredible collecting career, which has really culminated with the most comprehensive private U.S. numismatic library that's ever been formed. So if you haven't checked out Dan's stories and his sage advice on collecting, be sure to access that and all of our previous podcasts on our website at coinbooks.org. And I'm also delighted to report that the board has approved a bi-monthly rather than quarterly podcast for the coming year. And that's pretty much my introduction and announcements. If we want to, I don't know if Liana's available yet.
She was starting another meeting, so she should be on at about 11:10.
Okay.
We can go on to our awards if you wish.
Yeah, why don't I have, okay, I can do the awards. I'd like to start that saying that on behalf of the NBS membership, I would like to congratulate our talented editor of the Asylum, Maria Fanning, and all of our contributing authors for receiving the first place in the ANA's Outstanding Club Publication Competition in the specialty category. And this award will be presented online at the ANA's virtual awards ceremony on September 1st at 12 p.m. Mountain Time. Now it's my pleasure to announce the awards for this year. And first we have the Jack Collins Award for the best article by a first-time author. And this year, the award is presented to Kingsley Hong for his fine article, A Journey to the Bindery. Next, we have the Joel J. Oros Award for the best article appearing in the Asylum. And this year, the award is presented to Jim Neiswinter for his outstanding article, Written History of 1793 Cents. And congratulations to both of our award recipients. We'll be looking forward to your next contributions. And so that you know, soon you'll be receiving your awards in the mail. And thank you to Maria and all of our authors who continue to make the Asylum one of the premier numismatic publications. And so if Liana, is she available? Or?
She should be on now.
Okay, that'd be great.
Yes, I am here and ready to go whenever.
Okay. Well, I'd like to introduce Liana. She's began collecting coins at the age of 11. Today she works for the Newman Numismatic Portal as the creative director of numismatic marketing. And she's written articles for Coin Week and blog posts for the ANA. We NVSers, we know her for the excellent job she's done in producing our NBS podcast. Currently, her collecting interests focus on Japanese bar money. She's recently received the Numismatic Literary Guild's award for numismatic featured articles, World Coins 1500 to date, for her article about Japanese bar money in Coin Week. Today, the title of her presentation is Final Draft to Printed Book, How to Take Your Finished Manuscript to Print. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Liana Spurrier.
Hello, Len, if you could enable video for panelists, then I can turn on my camera and have a face while I talk.
Okay.
Otherwise, I will get my PowerPoint pulled up. Then, no, I still cannot turn on video. It should be under panelists, the three dots in the bottom right-hand corner. But in the meantime, I'll go ahead and get started so we aren't all just staring at the same slide. So I've done some work with the Newman Numismatic Portal with some of the books that they have published and doing the layout from them. So I'm going to be talking about some different avenues that you can go down to get your book published and in a print copy, as well as some of the things that you need to have ready beforehand and things you need to make sure you do during that process. So the first question is, when is it final enough to send to get published? There's the video. Okay, now I have a face. So you need to be sure that it is actually finalized and ready to go before you start looking for a publishing option. So the first most important aspect of that is that the text is finished. If you need to like add or remove a paragraph when you're still in the editing phase on your own, then that's very simple to do. That is not the case once we've started the design process. Adding a paragraph, something as simple as that, can add hours upon hours onto the time that it's going to take to get to that finished product, because it can just disrupt so many different things. So you really want to be sure that your text is ready to go and absolutely done before you start seeking out publishing options. That also means proofreading. Proofread it again, have your friends proofread it. There will always be some mistake that you didn't catch. So if you are interested in spending some money on it, then by all means consider hiring a proofreader or an editor. I don't know of any who are specifically within numismatics, but I'm sure that you could hire someone from the publishing industry to do that as well. You also want to be sure that anything that you eventually want to be italicized or bolded that's within the text is so. So if you want if you have titles of books in your words, you need to be sure that those are italicized like you want them in the finished version, because your designer is going to use that as their cue to be sure that they're putting it together the way that you want it to be. So they're going to be trying to carry that over. So you want to be sure that's all ready to go. The next thing that you want to be sure is ready are the photos. When someone first picks up a book and they just take a glance at it, the two things that are immediately going to tell them whether this is a legitimate, like, well-researched, well-done book when they just glance at it is going to be the layout and the photos. You have to get them past that point to where they're going to start reading it and realize that it is indeed a good book. If it doesn't look like a lot of work was put into it, then it's going to be harder to get past that initial pick up and glance at it. And so the photos play a really big part in that. You do not want photos like the two on the left. Both of those were like taken with a cell phone camera. The coin is not head on. They're not entirely in focus. The background is busy. That is absolutely not what you want. If you can get professional photos, that is ideal. The one here is from Blue CC. This is all the same coin, if that was not obvious. So the one here is from Blue CC. They do raw as well as graded coins. If you can get professional photos, that is fantastic. If you cannot, there are some guidelines to get better ones. So these are kind of worst to best, going from the left to the right. So on the left, it was taken with a cell phone camera. The background is messy, and it's not entirely head on. It is almost, but not quite. That's not what you want. You want the background to be as close to white as possible. That's going to make your designer's life easier, and it's going to make the final product look better, because ultimately we are cutting the coin out of that background. And so the closer that background is to what it's eventually going to be, the better it's going to look in the process. So the middle one here would be usable. Obviously, it doesn't look as good as the professional one from PCGS on the right, but it would be usable. The one on the left, not so much. It's not entirely in focus. And if you are taking pictures on a phone, you know, phone cameras are decent nowadays, but do not zoom. When you zoom on a phone, it just crops the image down. It's not actually zooming like a real camera would. It's not going to increase the quality at all. So you just want to get as close as you can so that it's in focus, and then just take the picture. You don't need to zoom. You also need to be sure that you have permission to use your photos. You cannot just pull things off the internet and assume that they're good to use. You need to have the sources like written down so you can contact them later to be sure that they're okay with you using them. You may have to pay a licensing fee to be able to publish it. Just contact the source, let them know what your plans are, and see what their policy is. Most numismatic companies that I've run into have been pretty cooperative. So don't hesitate, like if you want to use Coinfax images or something from Heritage, like don't hesitate to reach out to them and see if they're willing to let you use them. Always ask. You always want to have that paper trail of where they told you what you need to do and you did it. And be sure that you pass the little information along when you do have it designed so that everyone is on the same page and knows how and what needs to be attributed. The next key factor is the resolution, which you can check on your computer very easily. I'm going to show you how to do that. But when pictures are printed, they are printed at 300 dpi, which is dots per inch or pixels per inch. So what matters is the number of pixels in that image. So if you wanted to print it as a 1-inch square, you would need it to be 300 pixels by 300 pixels. A 2-inch square would be double that. So I have some of like common sizes here that you could use as guidelines, but check that. It's actually very simple on a PC. I don't have a Mac. I can't tell you how to do it on a Mac, but on a PC, you can just bring up File Explorer. And then if you go to a folder with your pictures in it, up at the top, there's a tab that says View, and then you go to Content. And there are the dimensions in pixels ready to go. So all of these are very big images. They're all higher than that resolution for even a full page image. So you could use files this size for any size that you want. And bigger will always be better. Do not be concerned if your photos are bigger than they need to be. Bigger is wonderful. So you want the highest resolution that you can get, which is infinitely more important than file type. It doesn't matter a whole lot if it's a JPEG or a TIFF or a PNG or whatever. What matters the most is that resolution.
Good.
So once you have those things squared away, it's time to look at the different options that you have for publishing. So you can try to self-publish. That is going to be the most difficult because you are doing everything yourself. You are doing the layout, you are getting it for sale or printed or however you want to go about that. It is not an easy thing to do if you are not familiar with those programs. You do have complete control, and it is free unless you pay for subscriptions or anything like that. So it's very good in that aspect. But if you don't have any kind of background in design or experience with design programs, I do not recommend trying to self-publish entirely yourself. It just won't end up looking as professional as you would want it to. Kind of the next step up is the Newman Numismatic Portal, which is very easy for you. You can send it in, and then once it's approved, if it is like a full book length, you'll get a few different design examples to choose from, and you'll be able to give comments along the way. So you do have a lot of control. If it's a shorter project, that amount of control kind of decreases. So if it's just more like a monograph, then you might not get those different design choices. You'll just see like the first proof that's ready to go. It is free to have it published through the portal. If you want any print copies, that is a small additional charge, but the digital version will be made available on the Newman portal for free, no matter what. So that is something that you're accepting if you go through the Newman portal, but it's also free for you to put together. So it kind of balances out. Above that would be Numismatic Marketing, which is my company. We also do book design. It is not free. It is fairly expensive if you are going to pay to have it designed. Booklet, it takes a long time, and there's no way around that. So you do have to be prepared to pay a lot of money for it. You will have as much control as is possible when someone else is designing it. We will let you give feedback at every step of the way. And then you also have complete say over how it's distributed. So if you want, you can make it available for free as an ebook if you want, or not. So you do have a little more say over that. And then the final one would be traditional publishing. I reached out to Whitman for more information on how they handle things, and they did not get back to me for comment. I have not worked with them personally, so I can't comment too much on exactly how they run things, but per the normal publishing industry, you do have to like be accepted, which is a challenge. So it's going to be a lot more difficult to get it published that way. Yeah, there's no way around it. So for the rest of this presentation, I'm going to be talking about through the Newman portal or numismatic marketing, because those are the two that I'm familiar with and can give the best guidance on. Yes. So when you are submitting your book, it will get done faster if you send it formatted so that it's easy for us to handle for either of the organizations, which means as simple as possible. A Word document or RTF if you have a Mac. If you don't know what RTF is, then ignore it, just a Word document. Single-spaced, nothing fancy. Ultimately, that is what it comes down to, nothing fancy. You do want it to be clear where the images should go. So like here it says image and then the title of the image. So it's obvious where it goes, but they don't necessarily need to be embedded. Ideally, you want to have a manual line break between paragraphs. So like you hit the enter key twice between paragraphs. Because when we copy this into a design program, if your paragraph breaks are formatted any other way, they disappear. And so we have to like manually go back and find them to make sure they're distinguished. If you have that manual line break, not like an automatic break between paragraphs, but the hitting enter twice, then it does copy in and we won't miss them. So it's gonna make things go a little bit faster if you do it that way. And you want your headings to be clear as well, so we understand the hierarchy of how things are organized. For the photos, you want to label them clearly, of course, so we know what goes where, and send them as separate files. They're going to be higher resolution. If you just send us the whatever kind of file they are, JPEGs, TIFFs, PNGs, if you send us those as files in addition to the Word document, it's going to be a much higher resolution of photos than if you sent them just embedded in the document. So you do want to be sure that you send those separately. And if you have any thoughts up front about what you want the design to look like, let us know those at the beginning so we can take that. Like if you really want it to be blue, then awesome, we'll incorporate blue. But it's easier to do that up front if we know what you're looking for than for us to just guess and then be entirely wrong. So you do want to make that known. When you receive proofs, along the way you will get what are called proofs. It is basically an in-progress version of the book for you to look at and make sure that you like how everything is looking, and you can give comments and changes so that you have more say over the final product. So in general, the earlier it is in the process, the easier it is for us to make changes. So if you get like the first designs, if you just see like the mock-up of the designs, it's not even the full book yet, but you see the designs and you think, I think maybe those margins should be a little smaller. tell us that then. Because at that point, that is like a 3-minute show you another option. But if you tell us that once we've sent you the first full version of the book, that is now a 4-hour endeavor and is going to delay the project. So the earlier in the process you can notice something that you think you might want to have changed, share it, ask to see it, get that nailed down as early in the process as you can. And in addition, sending many changes at the same time is going to run a lot faster than sending a lot of rounds of just a few changes. So if you send us 100 different changes that you want in this book, but it's all in one round, like one Word document of things you want changed, great. Then we can just sit down and blow through it. If instead that is 20 Word documents of 5 changes each, then that's going to be a week or a month of back and forth and getting them ironed out. So really try to get as many changes in at one time as you can. And when you are giving those changes, tell us the page number, because you know your book really well, and we're not going to necessarily know exactly where that one sentence is. So just give the page number along with them, and it'll run a lot faster, and we'll get the updated version to you quicker. You do want to keep a particular eye out for things that should be bolded or italicized. That's another thing that does not copy over into the design programs, so you want to be sure that we found all of those. In-text citations are another big one. We do, obviously we're paying attention to all of these things and are going to be very careful about them, but everyone's human. So you just want to make sure that nothing is obviously incorrect there. Image placement as well. Again, as long as you've labeled clearly where the photos go, it shouldn't be a problem, but you just want to keep an eye on them. And then same with the paragraph breaks, like I mentioned earlier. So that's my presentation, and that was right at 15 minutes.
All right, just one comment about working with Whitman, and I think this is probably applicable to other commercial publishers, is that they are operating in somewhat of factory pipeline mode. Mm-hmm. So when they get around to working on your book, they're going to be doing that within a pretty short period of time, and it's going to be a lot of interaction for that period of time. Whereas going with numismatic marketing, for example, things will probably be a little bit more relaxed. They're not driven by the same commercial needs to pump out so many books every year.
Yeah.
So that would be one difference about working with commercial publishers.
Mm-hmm. And one thing I failed to mention, for any printed copies through the Newman portal or through numismatic marketing, we can do print on demand through like Amazon, or there's another one called the Book Patch if you don't want it listed on Amazon. But like we can get your book listed on Amazon, but you don't have to pay for any copies up front. They're printed when someone orders them. So you don't have to lay down a few $1,000s for a bunch of copies of your book to try and sell yourself. It just goes up on Amazon, and you can advertise it however much you want, and then Amazon will handle the printing and the shipping and the billing and all of that, and then you'll get a commission for each copy that sells. So that was something I forgot to mention.
We had another question. Does this apply to PCGS pictures of coins in your collection? I think they're probably speaking both about the quality of the PCGS pictures and then maybe also about the reproduction rights situation.
Mm-hmm. As far as quality, PCGS pictures are beautiful. We like them. They're great resolution. The backgrounds are transparent. They're crisp. They're wonderful. You do need to reach out to PCGS when you are using them. I've been told in the past that it is fine as long as you credit them like beside each photo, but you do want to reach out to them so you have that paper trail confirming that that is still their policy at that point. And so the details of that will depend on your conversation with PCGS, but per my interactions with them, you are allowed to use them without payment as long as they are credited. But do not take my word for that. If you are publishing a book, reach out to them to confirm.
One other comment here. Can you show the picture dimensions page again?
Yes, I can. Okay, let me get that pulled back up. 1 second.
I think kind of
stopped my screen share.
The standard that I hear about for print publication is 300 DPI. Obviously more is better. And the printing method will impact that quality as well to some extent.
I'm hoping this was the slide you meant and
Yes.
not the File Explorer one. Okay, I wasn't sure which one.
Okay, so hopefully that's helpful. And if there are any other questions out there, you can enter them in the question window or the chat window. And I don't see any more questions. And we have Tom's video on now, so I think that will serve as a segue, and we'll flip it back. Oh, sorry.
Another question did come
Yeah.
into the Q&A,
Okay.
like as you were talking. Is the contract fixed or flexible? Meaning, will I know how much this will cost from the beginning? If you go through numismatic marketing, yes, you will know upfront how much it will cost. We will iron out that quote before we start work on anything. So you will know upfront exactly how much you are committing. The only like extra cost would be for printed copies. You can choose to like purchase author copies. You can get them from Amazon like at the price of printing instead of the commercial price. So that would be an additional cost if you wanted to do that. Or like if you were making massive changes along the way, that's like, oh, I need to add these 300 more pictures, then that's going to change the price. But as long as the like initial scope of the book doesn't change in any kind of horrifying ways, then you will know upfront exactly how much it's going to be. So I hope that answered that question.
One other question on how to get a copy of the presentation. This is being recorded, so will be made available after the end of the symposium.
Yes, we will put an announcement up on the website once all of the presentations have been edited and uploaded to the NNP, and we'll probably send out an email to attendees as well. So keep an eye on the website and your email, and you'll get a link when those are up, and you can just find the recording of this meeting, and you'll have the presentation in there.
All right. How do you decide on the press run? How many to print?
So a press run is something that's going to happen if you go through Whitman. They'll be, deciding how many to print and paying for them up front. If you go through the Newman Numismatic Portal or Numismatic Marketing, then hear me out before you panic. There is no explicit press run. We will get it up for sale online through Amazon if you want. And then people purchase it. So if 100 people purchase it, then great, the run was 100 and 100 copies are printed. If 1,000 people purchase it, awesome, 1,000 copies are printed. They're printed as people order them. If you as the author want to have copies in hand to sell like at shows or things like that, then you can decide how many of those you want to pay for. So that is up to you. And you do get like commissions for each one sold, and you can choose the price and how much. You can choose the price, which then impacts how much you get per copy.
All right. So print on demand, I think typically for a single copy is, a little bit more. So if an author wants to order an initial printing and sell them on their own behalf, the printing costs will probably be a little bit less. Typically, numismatic specialty books are in the hundreds of copies. So just to give a ballpark for what many books come in at.
Mm-hmm.
All right, any other questions out there? All right, we'll flip it back to Tom here. Thank you, Leanna.
Okay, thank you. And I have to get back to another presentation. So excellent. I'm going to head out and hope to see all of you at some other presentations throughout the symposium.
Okay. Thanks, Leanna.
Thank you.
Thanks for all your work on the podcast. We appreciate it.
No problem.
You're great. Okay. Next, I'd like to invite Chuck Heck, if he's available, to give his financial and membership report. There's Chuck.
Hey, guys.
Hi, Chuck.
How we doing?
Good. Good.
Good to see you, Tom, and to see you again, Len. Is my audio working well? Can you all hear me correctly?
Audio's fine. If you want to share a screen, you can also do that.
No, that won't be necessary. I didn't plan on having any show and tell today. This is what everybody's been waiting for, the financial reports. I'm sure you're all on the edge of your seats for this one, but we do have some interesting information. The NBS did have a pretty good year last year in 2019. Our bottom line if we want to get to it right now, is that we had about a $473 loss on the year, which was anticipated to be a little bit higher. Now, at that small loss, it's nothing to be concerned about. The more important thing to look at is what we are actually doing. Right now on our balance sheet, at the end of the year, we had some almost $31,000 in our cash operating account. Of that $31,000, $10,000 was moved into a certificate of deposit so we could draw some interest. At the end of the year, it had earned approximately $139 of interest. At the outset, I do want to say, though, that currently, as of July of 2020, our balance sheet does show that we have a little over $31,500. So our cash position has become somewhat stronger. Now, that said, we have to look at our membership. Currently, we have 321 members. That's as of July. There are 72 members that get the digital version of the Asylum. There are 62 members who are life members, and they get a print issue. Members that join every year, renew their memberships every year. We have 174 of them, and these are the ones that get the print version of the Asylum. And there are actually 13 members who are sort of honorary. They are in the field, and they do get a complimentary issue every quarter. So that's our total of 321 members. We averaged over the past 6 issues of Asylum, we've been averaging about some 330 members. Goes up and down with people not renewing their memberships. So our membership is staying quite strong compared to prior years. The only issue that we do have is we have lost a little bit of funding that's coming from the E-Sylum. ANA was sharing the E-Sylum benefits. As you know, they were putting up every E-Sylum every week. The ANA was putting it out to all the ANA members, and they have decided to discontinue that. Now, that impacts us financially, of course, because they were giving us $5,000 every year, $1,250 every quarter. But it won't have a major impact because there's been some significant controls put on costs. The only cost that we really can't control are the costs of printing and publishing the Asylum, which is the major feature of how we use monies. The Asylum costs us approximately $16,000 and change every year to publish. Membership dues, and by the way, we are a 501c3, we are a membership organization. We do not receive funding from any other organizations in the sense of major donations or continued fundings, grants, etc. So our membership right now, let me just get the correct page. Membership dues are coming into the tune of approximately $8,000 to $9,000 every year, closer to the $9,000 mark. Now, at $16,000 for publishing Asylum and $9,000 in dues, you can see there's a big gap. Well, how is that gap closed? And it's very simple. Every year there's a charitable auction, and the people know that when they donate a book to the charitable auction, the monies for the bidding on the winner of the bidder who wins the book, all that money is then going to the NBS. And last year that was a significant number. Let me get to that. The charitable auction generated $5,455. So you can see that the spread between what it costs us to produce the Asylum and our membership dues is met by our charitable auction primarily, and then by the donations of very generous individuals, and also a small amount is contributed from advertising, the advertising that's in the Asylum. The way to make up any difference is, and by the way, this is the CPA in me coming out, the way to make up differences is to charge more for dues. I want you to know that the board is sensitive to that. we don't like the idea of raising dues, but you're in a catch-22. If printing costs get higher, ink is higher, postage gets higher, what else can you do? Maria Fanning, who's our editor, has been looking to obtain printers that might be more financially easy to deal with. But printing costs are what they are. Postage costs, she is looking at postage, possibly going third-class postage, and there are issues with that. EAC tried that some years ago, and it didn't work out very well. Yes, postage costs will decrease significantly, but delivery is anybody's best guess, and there are delivery options. So the board is really considering many things. I can only tell you this, that I am pressuring the board to raise dues, and they are sensitive to that. And there is caution on that. We don't want to lose members. Right now, we're projecting a dues increase possibly of about $5 per year. Now, if you're paying $40, $5 is 1/8. 1/8, we're not talking about a huge increase, but we can't continue. We can continue, let me put it this way. We can continue because we have a fairly significant cash balance. And we can continue like that. I projected for about another 3.5 years, making up our lost income. But after 3.5 years, now we're going to reach a crisis, and we don't want to reach a crisis. You never want to reach a crisis. So I'm not looking on keeping every cent that we have in the cash accounts, but I'm thinking that along the lines of what the board has recommended to me, keeping dues increases small. But we have to do something. I just want you to be aware. If you have any questions, you can contact me. My email is in the Asylum. If you need it right now, it's nbstreasurer2019@gmail.com. And I'm more than happy to respond to anybody and give you out financial reports. By the way, financial reports are here for the asking. We'll have a small report in the next issue of the Asylum. You can get them because a 501c3 is required to make them available, and we have no problem with that. I'll give you everything that I've given to the board. If you have any questions, here's your opportunity. I guess that wowed them. So nothing major. We're in good shape. Yes, we are. We have a good, first of all, we have a great board that you're working with. These people are outstanding. Secondly is that, thank God, there's the generosity of many people. And we have that 30 some odd thousand, almost $30,700 in cash balance right now.
Chuck, we had one question, and I think this was discussed in the board meeting. The question is, can we have something on the website where it gives you the option to give, similar to what the ANA does?
Yeah, the reason why I don't like it on the website is because once we put something on a website and non-members see this, we become liable for solicitation requirements. And there are 39 states that might require us to register with them if we do solicitation on a nationwide basis. Having a little button on a website is considered by many states to be solicitation. What we do is we put a notice, or we will be putting more notices in the Asylum. And I will make sure that it's worded correctly, because when you ask members to participate in a donation, that is not considered to be solicitation in most states. Some states are sort of on the fence on that. States are looking for revenue now. They obviously are. And a donation button on the website, I've been very much against that. And but in the Asylum, I'm certainly not against it there.
All right, another question, does our 501c3 prevent us from applying for grants?
Oh, and anybody can apply for grants, but our 501c3 gives us much more leverage, yeah, because we are a true nonprofit and we are an educational organization. So 501c3 status doesn't guarantee us a grant, but it makes it much easier to get one, because 501c3 status, anyone who donates to us is eligible for a tax deduction. There are a few other 501c's that have that available also, but at 501c3, clearly any donations are tax deductible on anybody's personal tax return.
All right. Maria points out the benefit auction catalog is online. The link is in your chat window, so please be aware of that. Bit early, bit often. And we have another question about print versus online. The correspondent notes some organizations have gone to online only. What does the board think about going digital? I guess speaking as one board member, I'm very partial to hard copies. I like holding things in my hand and find them much easier to read than something on a screen. So I certainly support continued print distribution of the Asylum.
And I'm sorry, I missed the question though. Was it?
I think the question was whether, NBS would consider going online only.
Well, honestly, we did talk about that when we had our board meeting, and we feel that generations deserve to see what we've done, and digital may fade into something else in the future. So we're sticking with the printed copies. We want people to be able to have them. And I feel just like Glenn does. I would never bring my phone or my laptop to the beach. And if I'm at the beach, I'm reading the book, and I just like having it. I look, and again, I'm sorry, this is self-serving now, but I look in my library and I marvel at what I have. And then I think of the privilege of being at Dan Hamelberg's house the last A&A, and looking at his library and just getting the chill and looking at what's there. I hope paper never goes out of style. I hope books never go out of style.
Amen. One other question. Can we hear from the board any suggestions on increasing membership or recruiting? Tom, feel free to chime in on this one too. Obviously we've introduced a podcast and continue to reach out to a wide audience with the E-Sylum every week. One other thing we've done in the last couple of years is, and unfortunately couldn't do this year, was have a club table at the ANA convention. And I'm sure we'll do that again next year if that convention happens.
Yeah, those are all good points. And I would say that if anyone has any suggestions, forward them through to us, and we'll look at them as possibilities for new options. So,
Could I add to that also?
sure.
One of the suggestions that did come up, and you'll see mention of it in the next issue of the Asylum, is what if we as members secretly purchase a membership for one of our friends that is not a member? And we do it with all good intentions because maybe they don't know enough about us, but we think they might enjoy it. It would be especially useful maybe for a young numismatist. So for $40, we get them a membership, and then they like it so much they stay as members. I find that to be one of the better ways of generating new members. You can do all the advertising you want, you can do all the glitz and glamour, but what it comes down to is getting the nose right into the book and letting people see what we do. So if just a few of us would do that for a few people, few coin collectors, book collectors, numismatists that we know, it might recreate longevity with them. That person might say, wow, I really like this, so I'm going to pay for next year's membership. This can be anonymous. You can let the person know, whatever you wish. That has worked before. By the way, I understand it has been working with EAC somewhat recently. It was brought up by someone a few years ago doing this, and I heard back from some of the board members, and they say some people are picking up on it.
That's a good idea. Yep. Well, thank you, Chuck, for your report.
Oh, thank you.
And thank you for all you do behind the scenes for us. We really appreciate it. So. So let's see, next, am I ready to go?
Yeah, I think that's it for the questions.
Okay. Next, I want to share a word of gratitude with David and Maria Fanning for collecting and cataloging and conducting our mail bid auction this year. And a sincere thank you to our generous donors and all of our enthusiastic bidders who will be making our auction a success again this year. As a reminder, the auction closes this coming Monday, August 31st at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. This is our one annual fundraiser, so as Chuck said, please support this as you're able. And if David Fanning's available, I'd like to ask him to share a few comments about maybe a couple of our auction lots.
All right, I think I'm going to have to unmute David here. Let me take care of that. All right. I do not see David's name in the list. He may be under a different. I'll try adding Maria and see if that works. All right, so Maria should be able to unmute now.
Hi, Len.
Hey.
Oh, how do I turn my, let's see. Yeah, David is also on in the other room. I'm not sure why you're not getting him.
Let's see.
I'm not sure how to turn on the video.
Okay, you should be able to turn your video on now.
Okay, we are promoted. Okay, there I am.
Hey, Maria.
Hi. Did you get David too, or?
He's apparently under a different name, so I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. David, why don't you use my computer? Sure.
Sorry about that.
All right, don't get seasick, but I'm going to move you into the, here, why don't you just take my computer?
All right, well, Maria's walking. A big shout out for her continued production on the Asylum. It looks beautiful every quarter, and a lot of really interesting ideas for generating articles.
Yeah, and if anyone has any other ideas, feel free to send them to me. I'm going to close this.
Okay.
Because you're getting feedback.
All right, Dave, you're on.
Am I?
Yes.
Okay, you say so. All right, so yeah, we have been starting to get some auction bids put in here, but I've only received a handful of them. So make sure to take a look at the auction. We had a number of really nice donations this year. There's quite a lot in here that I think is well worthwhile. Had a beautiful deluxe leather-bound set of John Danruder's new book on proof gold coins. That's really impressive. I wasn't even aware that there was a deluxe binding, but it's very nicely done. For those of us who love the old catalogs, we've got some great things. We've got Virgil Brand's own copy of Tom Elder's 1908 James Wilson sale. That's a very cool item. We've got a plated Kogan in here of the Kaufman sale. That's 1871. That's one of the earliest. Got a really nice copy of Felt's Historical Account of Massachusetts currency. A number of early catalogs, some later hardcover, special edition pieces. Got Martin Logi's book on the 1794 dollar. That's always in demand and hard to find. We have a nice donation from David Gladfelter of both the first and second WWC Wilson sales. Those are, you know, just fantastic, especially for Canadian, but also for early American medals. The first part is not, you know, terribly rare, but the second part is awfully scarce. So that's a really nice donation. But you know, even among some of the items in here that aren't worth, you know, necessarily you know, hundreds and hundreds of dollars, we've just got some neat things. There's a Steigerwalt periodical in there. Those are awfully hard to collect, and they're a lot of fun, I think. We've got some Strobridge catalogs that are you know, that are well worth looking into. Got an early mint report early. It's 1850, which is actually harder to find than some of the, you know, earlier ones. So just a lot of neat stuff. We got a real nice variety of material this year, and would be happy to take your bids.
All right, and David, what day does that sale close?
This is closing on Monday. Let me get back to my own terms here if I can find them. Yeah, we're closing this as a mail bid on Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. We will take phone calls. Emails are preferred.
All right, excellent. Thanks for organizing that and
Absolutely.
the catalog and sending everyone their lots. So people will not have to carry heavy books with them home from the ANA this
Right.
year. They will just arrive in your mailbox courtesy of David and Maria. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
I'll add my thanks to that too, David. And I want to thank everyone for your continued generous support of the NBS. Len, if unless you have something else, I think that kind of wraps it up.
Yeah. No, I think that's it.
Okay, well, we'll look forward to seeing everybody in person next year in Rosemont.
Sounds good.
Again, thank you all very much.
Thanks,
Okay.